Yo, what's good? Amateur Lore here, and we're back with another video. This time we're looking at some bad seasons from excellent college football programs. Hey, can y'all smell that? Football season is right around the corner. No offense to baseball, I love it, but man, with it being the only sport of the Big Four to consume right now, I'll just say it's not my favorite time of the year. But hey, it's almost time for football. Also, quick announcement, the giveaway for the mini helmet is still going on. All you have to do is be subbed, like the video, and comment your favorite team to be entered. I'll be picking the winners in the next video after this. Okay, that's all. Let's jump into the video. Alright, I don't know why you guys have been requesting another video like this for a while, but Amateur Lore is a man of the people, so here we are taking a look at some of the more terrible college football seasons from historically dominant college football programs. When I finally caved in and realized this was the video I was going to be working on for the next week or so, I already had the first team in mind that I wanted to take a look at, the 2012 USC Trojans. So obviously we should all know USC has been one of the more successful college football programs, winning a total of 882 games in their long history up to this point, which ranks them 11th in all of D1 FBS football for wins, as well as winning 9 national titles and having 9 Heisman winners. And I'm not even accounting for all of the countless top NFL draft picks the USC Trojans have produced. Clearly USC has had successful season after successful season, and this 2012 season was setting up to be another blip in the Trojans' long illustrious history. Okay, so coming into the 2012 college football season, the hype around the USC program had been surging back up. The reason I use the word surging is because going back 3 years to 2009, USC would finish the season with a 9-4 record. Not bad, but definitely not up to the Trojan standards, as they had won 11 games or more in the previous 7 seasons. I brought this up because after the 2009 season, the USC coaching legend Pete Carroll would leave for the NFL, as the Trojans would get hit with sanctions due to Reggie Bush and OJ Mayo receiving improper benefits, which would result in USC being banned from the postseason for 2010 and 2011. I gotta give the young men playing ball for the Trojans during those 2 years props because they were playing for pride and would show up playing some impressive/inspired football, going 8-5 in 2010 and 10-2 in 2011, finishing the season ranked 6th in the AP polls. After spending 2 years being banned from postseason play, the 2012 USC Trojans were coming into the year with expectations higher than Ricky Williams, being ranked as the AP #1 team in the preseason polls, as well as majority of college football outlets having USC as the Pac-12 preseason favorites. Basically what I'm saying is, it was national title or bust for this 2012 Trojan squad. That was a short little intro, now let's take a look at some of the stars making movies in the City of Angels. Leading the program in his 3rd year up to that point, we got easily my favorite Nick Saban assistant, Lane Kiffin. Actually, I take that back, my favorite Nick Saban assistant is Billy Napier. Trojan fans, please let me know down below how y'all feel about Kiffin's tenure in LA. Moving over to the quarterback position, the man under center was Matt Barkley, who'd passed for 3,273 yards with 36 touchdowns. At running back, the team lead was Silas Redd, rushing for 905 yards with 9 touchdowns. USC had a loaded receiver room with tons of NFL talent, starting with Nelson Aguilar, who'd catch 19 passes for 340 yards with 2 touchdowns, Robert Woods catching 76 passes for 846 yards and 11 touchdowns, and finally Marquise Lee, who'd catch 118 passes for 1,721 yards and 14 touchdowns. Lee went ballistic this year, winning the Pac-12 Offensive Player of the Year award as well as the Fred Biletnikoff award, with the cherry on top being a unanimous All-American selection. Before we jump into the season, I want to shout out a beast on the defensive side of the ball, Morgan Breslin, who totaled 13 sacks on the season. Man, this USC Trojan squad was absolutely loaded. Alright, so to begin the 2012 college football season, the #1 ranked USC Trojans would open up the year with 2 tune-up games versus Hawaii and Syracuse. The Rainbow Warriors wouldn't be too much trouble for the Trojans, as they would handle them 49-10. Barkley was cooking from the pocket, passing for 372 yards with 4 touchdowns in this easy win. The Orange, on the other hand, would put up a little bit more of a fight, as the score would be USC 21 to the 'Cuse 16 entering the final quarter. That's as close as the game would get though. Matt Barkley would toss 3 of his 6 touchdowns in the 4th quarter to give the Trojans the edge in a 42-29 victory. Now sitting at 2-0, after those 2 tune-up games, USC would drop 1 spot down to the 2nd spot in the latest polls. Nothing to really worry about. There was still a whole lot of ball to be played, and the Trojans had plenty of big games on their schedule left to help them get back to the #1 spot. Speaking of big games, the Trojans' next one would be their first real test of the season, a road game versus 21st ranked Stanford Cardinal. This game would be tough, but nothing a USC team potentially on their way to a natty couldn't handle.
Telfer in motion, Barkley quick release, caught over the middle, and this is Aguilar, sprinting to the end zone, splits the defense and is down. Red again, stood up, leans forward, touchdown, Trojan. Dividends, 2nd and 8. After 41, Taylor again with room. Oh, look at him go. Stephon. 25. They're not going to catch him. Touchdown, Cardinal. Detected. 2nd down and goal. Here's a toss. Silas Redd. Touchdown. Nunes. Ertz got it. Down in the long 15. Nunes. Screen. Taylor gets a block. Taylor keeps his balance, still running, Stephon Taylor, touchdown Stanford. Kiffin's kicker has not attempted a field goal in college. Nunes, Ertz! Zach Ertz! Touchdown, Stanford! They need to get to the Stanford 36, and once again, Barkley goes down for the 5th time. This time it's Chase Thomas with 34 seconds remaining.
USC would lose on the road to Stanford 21-14. When taking a deeper look at the box score, it paints a pretty clear picture of why the Trojans would fall to the Cardinals, as they would lose pretty much every important battle. Losing the turnover battle, the time of possession battle, and the total yardage battle. Running back Stephon Taylor would have himself a game, as the USC defense wouldn't have an answer for him, rushing for 153 yards with a touchdown. But he wasn't just effective on land, also tacking on 60 receiving yards with a touchdown for safe measures. On the flip side, USC star quarterback Matt Barkley wouldn't play his best game, going 20 of 41 for 254 yards with 2 interceptions, and just an overall forgettable night for the USC Trojans. The loss of the Stanford Cardinal would drop USC's rankings in the polls to the 13th spot in the country. And while losing is never easy and always sucks, the bright side was that the Trojans got their ugly loss out of the way early, with plenty of season left to play. Now, while I'm acting all nonchalant about this loss, I'm sure the Trojans were feeling very different at the time. They were preseason favorites to win the title and hadn't been playing like it so far all season. USC was in need of a nice bounce-back performance, and luckily for them, their next game on their schedule was a 1-2 California Golden Bears squad. The Trojans would play better, but not too much, only winning 27-9. And while the final score makes it seem like USC was smooth sailing the entire match, that couldn't be any further from the truth. USC only had a 1-score lead going into the 4th before they would put the game out of reach. And for the second week in a row, Matt Barkley would have a subpar performance, passing for 192 yards with 2 touchdowns and 2 interceptions. Thankfully, running back Silas Redd would put in work on the ground, rushing for 158 yards and a TD Garden, playing a huge part in the Trojans' W. Now sitting at 3-1 and still ranked at the 13th spot in the country, USC would have to travel to one of the toughest places to play for their next game up versus the Utah Utes. This game was looking real ugly early on, as Utah was manhandling the Trojans, storming out to a 21-10 lead early into the second quarter. Things were looking disgusting for USC, already losing a game earlier this season. Another loss would really be a bad look for this great program, and an even worse look for Lane Kiffin. The Trojans would have to dig deep and find a way to come back to win this game. Could they do it on the road with 51,444 fans wearing red and white praying on their downfall?
Matt Barkley, he's got Robert Woods. Woods still on his feet, pointing out blockers. He seems to have... Barkley stands in, fires toward the end zone, and is caught on 3rd and goal. Barkley to the end zone, touchdown. My bad, mixed it up. That's all right, your teammate had you. Barkley, he's looking for a teammate. Lee's open behind the defense. Marquise Lee. Touchdown, Trojans.
I know I've been kind of hard on Matt Barkley, but in this game versus the Utah Utes, when his team would need him to step up and make big plays, that's exactly what he would do, tossing 2 touchdowns in the second quarter to help his team get back into the game, and in the 4th delivering an 83-yard bomb to Marquise Lee to put the game away. Barkley would total 303 yards through the air, this game with 3 passing touchdowns, playing a huge part in the 38-28 comeback victory. Before we move on, I have to also shout out the Trojans' defense. They may have started the game slow, giving up 14 points, as an early Utah Utes touchdown would come from a fumble return, but after the USC D would give up those scores, they would shut down the Utes offense for the entirety of the second half, as their only touchdown was scored in garbage time with only 38 seconds left on the clock. Once again, not a pretty win, but a win is a win, right? And although USC hadn't looked as impressive as the media had expected them, they were still 4-1 and still in contention to possibly make the Natty. The USC defense would carry their good performance over from the second half of the Utah game in their next game versus Washington, winning 24-14. USC wouldn't score at all in the second half, so the Trojans defense really needed to be locked in this game, keeping the Huskies from coming back and tying the game. The defense wouldn't just keep Washington from scoring more than 14 points. They would also force 4 turnovers, and on offense, USC would just ground and pound with Silas Redd leading the charge, rushing for 151 yards and a cool tutty. 5-1 and finally back in the top 10 for the first time in a couple weeks, the Trojans would finally put together a pretty dominant performance, taking down Colorado 50-6. Not really much to speak of from this game besides Matt Barkley torching the Buffs defense like a blunt, going 19 of 20 for 298 passing yards with 6 touchdowns. 6-1 and ranked at the 9th spot in the latest polls, the USC Trojans were about to embark on a gruesome 4-game stretch of conference play versus Arizona, 4th-ranked Oregon, Arizona State, and 17th-ranked UCLA. Just a quick heads up, I wasn't able to find the USC vs Arizona State football highlights, so they won't be in this little montage. Anyway, ranked 9th in the country, there was a very clear path to prom. If USC could go perfect through this stretch and then take down the Fighting Irish in the final game of the season, there was no way the BCS could keep them out. But whoa, before they could even worry about Notre Dame, they had to survive the Pac-12 gauntlet.
3rd and 7. Barkley with time and with the completion. Marquise Lee, watch out, goodbye, hello end zone. Barkley looking for Lee and finding him, and here he goes again. Marquise Lee, touchdown. Barkley back of the end zone. Barkley's going to crank it up. Incomplete. Arizona for the Trojans. 2nd and 15. And they dump it off. Hunt. Josh Hunt. Touchdown. They hand it off. Garner with a first down and more. Hops it outside to the corner. Kenyon Garner. 25. Matt Barkley, 8 of 12, 82 yards. He'll throw it all the way down. Marquise Lee. Caught. Marquise Lee. Touchdown. That's it. He's the gap, and he's gone. Now he throws it. Mariota. Touchdown. The second half of the Trojans. Silas Red. 100. You hand it to him. He won't take a loss at all. Kenyon Garner again. Here's Huntley looking. Falls. Touchdown. Huntley. Lost one up. Caught. Touchdown. 14 first downs for the Bruins already. And Jonathan Franklin smelling inside. Touchdown. The deep man. Barkley underneath. Touchdown. Randall Teller. Bad snap. Picked up. Loose again. Ooh, wow. Look at this. Touchdown SC. Now, here's Barkley. Underneath. Marquise Lee. Touchdown Trojan. Franklin. First down. Outside. Up the sideline. The Mayor running. Touchdown.
The USC Trojans' national title chances would crash during this 4-game stretch, like my parlay anytime I make it to the final leg. Their first game during the stretch versus Arizona, they should have won. There wasn't really any excuse for why they would lose, being up 28-13 with only 4 minutes left in the third quarter, as well as having their star wide receiver Marquise Lee going off for 345 receiving yards with 2 touchdowns. USC even won the total yardage and time of possession battle, although I'm guessing a big reason for the Wildcats crawling back into this game and eventually winning it 39-36 would have to be because of the Trojans' 5 turnovers. Just an overall ugly game from USC, and in their next matchup versus the Oregon Ducks, things wouldn't get much better. I know the final score of 62-51 makes it look like this game was back and forth, but honestly, in my opinion, from what I saw, Oregon was always in control of this game. It never really felt like USC could ever take control of this game and possibly win. But hey, look at the bright side, no little peep. There was a game during this stretch that USC would win, and that was against the Arizona State Sun Devils, taking them down 38-17, bringing a little life back into the Trojans' college football season. Well, it looks like it didn't, as in their rivalry game against the UCLA Bruins, USC would fall 38-28. And while they probably still would have lost regardless, because while he was in this game, they were still down, but I do have to mention that USC star QB Matt Barkley would get injured on a sack, hurting his throwing shoulder. So the backup would have to come in and attempt to lead a comeback, which obviously he wouldn't do. The Trojans would go 1-3 during this 4-game stretch of conference play, bringing their record on the season to 7-4, as well as falling out of the top 25. It's crazy to think that at the beginning of the season, USC was ranked number 1 and looking like a potential national title contender. Fast forwarding to rivalry week, they were unranked with their last game of the 2012 regular season being against the number 1 ranked Notre Dame Fighting Irish. I know the season was ass and the Trojan faithful probably felt let down, but one way USC could end the season with at least some positives was if they could upset the Notre Dame Fighting Irish and keep them from making the BCS National Championship game. USC versus Notre Dame. Could the Trojans play spoiler and salvage this ugly season?
Wilson fires quickly, juggled, first down. Come over to the field. Handoff, Riddick, end zone for the Irish.
34 for Riddick. Let's see what they do here.
Here comes the big arm. Gonna fire deep, wants Lee to run, and it's intercepted. Play action. Riddick fires, intercepted. Picked off. Here's play action on 2nd and short. Got a man on the far side, it's Eifert. Eifert's free from the corner, and Eifert still going. The last one to the left. This one's on the money. He's a running back. He's behind the fullback. Play action, roll right, throw, diving, incomplete. A goal line stand for the ages for the Fighting Irish.
USC would fight hard against Notre Dame, keeping the score somewhat close in the first half, only being down 1 score going into halftime. But in the end, USC was without their starting quarterback, and eventually the Fighting Irish defense was just too much for the Trojans to handle, losing 22-13. Notre Dame really didn't do too much this game, just playing excellent defense and winning the field position battle. Their kicker made like 5 field goals this game. This loss would put the USC record on the season at 7-5, a big difference from their expected 11 wins in the preseason. At one point, USC was thinking natty or bust, but now at this point in the season, the Trojans were hoping they could end the season with the bowl game victory in the Sun Bowl. Long story short, they wouldn't, losing to the Georgia Tech Yellow Jackets 21-7, ending the 2012 college football season with a 7-6 record while going down as one of the biggest flops in college football history. Leaving the West Coast, we head over to the college where touchdown Jesus resides. I don't think I really have to explain why the Notre Dame Fighting Irish are an historically dominant college football program. They've won a total of 926 football games, which ranks them 4th all time. They've won 13 national titles and are literally coming off a national title run that they fell just short in during the 2024 season. Yeah, Notre Dame are one of the big boys of college football, which is why I don't feel bad at all for taking y'all back to 2016, when the Fighting Irish would have one of their worst seasons in recent program history. Also, this has nothing to do with anything, but I have 2 cats, and one of them is named Louie, and his nickname is Dr. Lou. And yes, if you're wondering, he got that nickname from Lou Holtz.
Dr. Lou, Dr. Lou, that's Dr. Lou, Dr. Lou, Dr. Lou. The doctor will see you now. I'm sure you're asking, what qualifications do I have to be called doctor?
Alright, so going back to the 2016 college football season, the Notre Dame Fighting Irish were expected to have another excellent season, as in the year prior they would go 10-3, losing in the Fiesta Bowl to the Ohio State Buckeyes, and would finish 8th in the final college football playoff rankings. Coming into 2016, the Fighting Irish would begin the season ranked at the 10th spot in the country. And in most videos I do, I usually take a look at some of the conference preseason predictions, but Notre Dame is stubborn and refuses to join a conference. So instead I went and took a look at what some of the members of athlonsports.com predictions were for Notre Dame's 2016 season. It looks like the media had high hopes for this Irish squad, with most members penciling them in for 10 or 11 wins, which is understandable. Notre Dame had a really favorable schedule. There were not too many teams on paper they were facing off against they should lose to. The way things were setting up, Notre Dame was potentially gunning for a college football playoff run. That was a short little intro. Now let's take a look at some of the key figures a part of this team. Leading the Notre Dame Fighting Irish in his 7th year up to that point, at head coach we got Brian Kelly. Irish fans, I know y'all probably have a love-hate relationship with Coach Kelly, but I need to know where you guys rank him all time on the Irish coaching ladder. Let me know down below in the comments. Rips taking over to the QB position, the man under center was Deshaun Kaiser, who'd passed for 2,925 yards with 26 touchdowns, as well as adding 472 yards on the ground with 8 touchdowns. At running back, we got Josh Adams. He would finish the year with 933 rushing yards and 5 tutties. And finally, to round out the offense at wide receiver, the man on this team was, I've seen a couple of people pronounce his name and I still couldn't get it right, so I'm just going to put it up on screen, St. Brown, catching 53 passes for 961 yards and 9 touchdowns. The Notre Dame Fighting Irish would open up the 2016 college football season with a huge game right off the bat against the Texas Longhorns. Usually when I make these videos, we have a couple of tune-up games to warm up with, but not this time, as we were jumping straight into the action. 10th ranked Notre Dame was heading to Texas to play ball in one of the most hostile environments in all of college football. The Irish had big hopes this season, and this game versus Texas would be a huge test to see just how good this Notre Dame squad was.
Quarterback, but we still don't know the other one yet. It's a good point. We'll find out that one here in a minute. And C.J. Sanders from just inside the 5. And he was... And here it is with Folston, who gets off a good run, and he's free. Tarian Folston finally to the end zone. St. Brown, touchdown Irish.
For the first down.
Bouchel to the end zone again. Scoring. They bring pressure over the middle, complete. It's going to be first. Do it again. Quarterback sneak now. Waiting, touchdown.
3 or 4 yards.
Look at the tempo here. Downfield, Bouchel, wide open into the hands of Gerard Hurd. Just tripped up that time. To the outside. Touchdown. He pulls it from Adams, and it was a great choice by Kaiser. Inside the 10 and into the end zone. Intercepted that time. Sean Crawford inside the 10, and Notre Dame is in. 3rd and goal. Pumps again, extends, end zone, touchdown. Pressure on him, lofts it up. Caught, touchdown.
Figure it out right here.
Here's 3rd down. What a run that time. Bouchel to pass on first down, and he gets it complete to Warwick, who gets free and is just swoops into the end zone. Has found a way. Kaiser trying to set up the screen. C.J. Sanders inside the 10. Oh, we may have. And swoops, dancing for the win. Texas is back, folks.
You heard what the announcer said at the end of the game. Texas is back, baby. Now that I think about it, that joke doesn't really even work anymore because the Texas Longhorns are one of the top college football teams in the current day. Anyway, Notre Dame would lose to the Texas Longhorns 50-47 in double overtime. Early on into the game, it seemed like Notre Dame was going to be in for a rough one, as they would be down 31-14 with just 7 minutes left in the third quarter. Big credit to the Irish though, because they would fight and claw their way back into the game, retaking the lead 35-31 on a 17-yard touchdown pass from Deshaun Kaiser. For a while after the Irish would retake the lead, it looked like Notre Dame was going to hold on and escape Texas, but as we all saw, that wouldn't be the case, with Texas coming back and scoring a touchdown with less than 3 minutes left in the ball game. I've never seen an extra point get blocked in return for 2 points, but after watching these highlights, I can proudly say I'm no longer a virgin. Anyway, in overtime, Texas would come out on top, taking down the 10th ranked Notre Dame Fighting Irish 50-47. Now, while losing your first game of the season is never a good thing, if this is a big if Notre Dame could tighten up and win, they'd still be in contention to possibly make the college football playoffs. That sounds way easier said than done, but if there was any program that could do it, it was Notre Dame. And in their next game after their loss to Texas, the Fighting Irish would return to form, taking down the Nevada Wolfpack 39-10. This game was all Irish, being up 25-0 at halftime, and coasting their way in the third and fourth to a pretty dominant win. Deshaun Kaiser would do his thing from the pocket, passing for 2 touchdowns, and on the ground, running back Josh Adams would go off, rushing for 106 yards on only 10 carries. While on the other side of the ball, the Irish defense would keep the Wolfpack from reaching the end zone until garbage time with about 3 minutes left in the ball game. Overall, a much better performance from every member of the Notre Dame Fighting Irish, and it couldn't have come at a better time because right after the game with Nevada, they'd be set to face off against another above-average football team, the 1-0 12th-ranked Michigan State Spartans. This game was going to be a bloodbath between two defensive-minded ranked football teams, but one thing that Notre Dame had going in their favor was they were the home team, and I never really see too many people online giving credit to Notre Dame's crowd and the impact they have on the game, but from the games I've seen played here, their fan base is definitely no slouch, so the Spartans were going to be in for a tough one. 18th ranked Notre Dame versus 12th ranked Michigan State.
119 years. Not many things in sports, not many things in America last that long.
Michigan State, the Fighting Irish. It's going to be a dandy football game.
So when you come across something that does, like this rivalry, there are real reasons it still matters. There's of course the history, a reminder of the wins, the losses, and of course the tie.
That is the end of the football game with Michigan State 10 and Notre Dame 10.
There's the fact that there's almost always something at stake when they meet. Like tonight in South Bend, when it's very simply about survival. Tested when you play against Michigan State. Irish in the red zone at the 15. Kaiser quarterback draw. Angling to the 10. Kaiser, good move at the 5. Kaiser into the end zone. Touch. Jake Hartbarger, the punt. C.J. Sanders going to let this one bounce. Got to be careful. It doesn't touch the foot of an Irish player at the 40. It is still free, and it is Michigan State ball. Gives Michigan State an opportunity from the 38. Tyler O'Connor going to take a home run shot. Try to get it all here. Downfield. It is pulled away. Spectacular. 10-10 game. He said, no, not really. But they've heard about it and talked about the history with their teams here this week. C.J. Sanders on the completion. And look at Sanders go. He lost the football. It's down on the ground. Was he down or no? At the 44, the Spartans have it. And with 28 seconds left. Pitch it to Shelton. R.J. Shelton on the edge. Got a block. Got a Spartan touchdown.
Back to the inside.
14 on the game. Gerald Holmes following his blocks to the end zone. Touchdown, MSU. 15 days ago. 2nd and 11. The pass from Kaiser is intercepted.
Meet any resistance until downfield.
Right back to Scott. Right up the middle into the end zone. 28.
Not afford to lose him. He's all ready to back out on the field.
Up the middle it is Gerald Holmes. Past midfield in a foot race with Luke. Not gonna get him. Holmes is all the way home. And the Spartans are putting 3rd and 7. Spartans rushed 4. Shot to the end zone. St. Brown goes up. Did he get the feet down? No.
He will keep it and power his way into the end zone. Feel a little more on their heels here. Again, rushing 4. Kaiser pumped it, fires in the middle, touchdown! 3rd and 3, must stop for the Irish. Spartans get this one, they close it out. R.J. Shelton on the edge, seals this one. Shelton down at the 25-yard line, and the Spartans are going to go back winners here tonight.
I know Brian Kelly had to be pissed with his team's performance against the 12th ranked Michigan State Spartans, losing 36-28. This game was ugly in the beginning. Old Sparty would put belt to Irish ass, going up 36-7 with less than about 3 minutes left in the third quarter. Notre Dame would once again try to fight back, and credit to them, they would make this game somewhat competitive, scoring 3 straight touchdowns to bring the score to 36-28, and would even have a couple of opportunities to get the ball back and try to tie the game, but would just come up short. I think what really hurt Notre Dame during this game was those early fumbles in the beginning of the game, because quarterback Deshaun Kaiser was on it, passing for 344 yards and 2 touchdowns. But just like versus Texas, the comeback attempt would fall just short, bringing the Irish's record on the season to 1-2, pretty much ending their chances of making the college football playoffs. You know what they say, when it rains it pours, as the following week Notre Dame would lose again to the Duke Blue Devils 38-35. They really should have won this game, being up 35-28 in the fourth quarter. Most Brian Kelly-led teams are not giving up the lead in the fourth quarter, but this year there must have been something in the water. Duke would score to tie the game on a 64-yard touchdown pass from guess who, Daniel Jones. When Notre Dame would get the ball back, quarterback Deshaun Kaiser would throw an ugly interception that would set Duke up in excellent field position, as they would drive the ball down the field and kick the game-winning field goal. Notre Dame would have a chance to respond, but would get stopped on 4th down, giving the Irish another ugly loss. I have good news though. Notre Dame would win their next game against the Syracuse Orange, and they looked pretty good doing it, winning 50-33. The Irish offense was nearly unstoppable this game, burning the Orange for 654 yards. Quarterback Deshaun Kaiser took out his frustration on the Orange secondary, passing for 471 yards and 3 touchdowns, in this well-needed win for Notre Dame. Now sitting at 2-3 on the season, the Fighting Irish were about to embark on an important 4-game stretch of ball against teams such as NC State, Stanford, Miami, and Navy. I know the season hadn't gone as expected so far, but if Notre Dame wanted to turn things around and still potentially make a good bowl game, they would need to play the type of football the Notre Dame faithful had become accustomed to. Could the Irish do it?
On 3rd down. Excellent snap. And the punt is blocked. It's picked up at the 15-yard line. NC State's going to get a touchdown. And Kaiser wasn't ready for the snap. He's got to pick it up. He has to pick it up and throw it. Instead, he's drilled. He gets rid of the pass. It's a forward pass that's
2nd down and 4. And Josh Adams, a fake to him, and they go left to Kaiser, and he's in. Was bad, and other than that, he hasn't hurt himself, but he's not making a big play.
Kaiser has himself and throws it right into the arms of Quentin Meeks, back in the lineup for Stanford. And he has a nice return going here, tiptoeing down the field. Stanford its only touchdown of the game, and that snap is over the head of Malik Zaire. Burns grabs the low snap and gives it to Love, who breaks through close to the goal line and fumbles it. And now the ball is loose.
One to the wide side of the field. Double team.
Kaiser looking for some time. Tries to run it up the middle, and he's going to go down, and that is going to be it. Solomon Thomas. With a big play, the ball is loose. Ball is inside the 5. And here we go up the middle, and it's 2 to the left, 3 to the right. Goes to the left, and is it complete? Yeah. They've got the big package in, and they go right up the middle, and it's a touchdown from Kai has really spread it around to 7 different receivers. It's just a little pooch punt by Vogel trying to pin Notre Dame back in, and he lost the football, and it's in the end zone, and Miami's on it for a touchdown. Colbert, 3rd and short, 3rd and 2, and it's Josh Adams who gets loose at the line of scrimmage, and now has nothing but green grass. It's a good hold, and he's got a 1st and 20 opening drive. Kaiser to the end zone. Instead, it's a number 12 on the edge. Cass has a 1st down inside the 10. Wilson in there for 3rd and 6. He motions out. Kaiser complete. St. Brown slips away. Has the 1st down and goes. That's all the difference. Work, keeper, end zone touchdown. Navy a chance to seal it. Work to throw. Over the middle. It's caught inside the 20-yard line. Tolman makes the grab. Notre Dame has no timeouts. And with a minute 9, Navy will have a chance to run the football. Run the clock.
The Notre Dame Fighting Irish would go 1-3 through this 4-game stretch, pretty much ending any chance they had of playing in a good bowl game. First versus NC State, the Irish would lose in a shootout 10-3. I really can't put too much blame on the Irish because this game was played in disgusting weather. Although you would think if that type of ball game would favor any team, it would be Notre Dame, a program that puts a heavy emphasis on their line play. But I guess not this time. Against Stanford, although this game wasn't played in the rain, the final score would make you think it was, as Stanford would take down Notre Dame 17-10. DeShone Kizer wouldn't play his best football against the Cardinals, passing for only 154 yards with 2 interceptions. He would be productive on the ground, rushing for 83 yards and a touchdown, but it wouldn't be enough to put them over the edge as they would fall to Stanford. Losing is never fun, but at least the Irish would bounce back, winning versus Miami 30-27 in an incredibly weird football game. Notre Dame would start this game scoring 20 points before halftime, making a statement against the Miami Hurricanes. But after halftime, the Irish would forget how to play football, allowing Miami to come back and even take the lead on a muff punt that would be recovered in the end zone. Thankfully for whoever muffed the punt, Notre Dame would somehow respond with 10 points of their own to close out the win. Man, if they would have lost this game, things would have gotten way uglier than they already were, because in their final game of the stretch, they would lose to Navy 28-27, putting the Notre Dame Fighting Irish record on the season at 3-6. At this point in the season, the Irish were just playing for pride, and major props to them because against a pretty good Army team, they would win in a dominant fashion 44-6. Good win, but I'm going to be honest, I don't think it really mattered all that much. There was only one game left on the schedule that really had any weight, and that was versus the 12th ranked USC Trojans. There was the game in between that against Virginia Tech that they would lose 34-31 in, but I'm not going to spend too much time on it because there wasn't really any stakes. But I will mention that Notre Dame held a 10-point lead going into the fourth quarter, but the Hokies would score 13 straight points to win the game. Alright, the Notre Dame Fighting Irish were sitting with a record on the season of 4-7, heading into rivalry week where they would be facing off against the 12th ranked USC Trojans. It's kind of funny, we ended the first entry of this video with the USC Notre Dame game, and that's exactly how we're going to end this section. This season hadn't gone as expected for the Irish, but if there was one way they could end this year on a positive note, it would be to take down the USC Trojans. Could Notre Dame upset the 12th ranked Trojans, or would this awful season end with the loss to their rivals?
Handoff to Josh Adams. Up the middle. Josh Adams is going to take off down the sideline. And will they catch him? They will. On first down and goal, Kizer will keep it and get in for the... That's a skill set. Here's Ronald Jones. Turns a corner. Puts a foot in the ground. See you later. Ronald Jones to the... On 4th and 21. That's Tyler Newsome. No problem with the snap there. And he's able to get it away. Takes a bounce. Here's Adoree Jackson. Trying to set USC up. And then some! Punt return. He's missed on his last 4, but clearly they haven't all been his fault. Kizer to throw. Intercepted! It's picked off of J.D. Harris to the house. Kizer complete to Fink. First down and then some. Got there. Touchdown. The Irish checked in on offense. That's him in the backfield. Darnold looking his way and throwing his way. Jackson gets outside down the sideline. Stays on his feet. He's going to go all the way. Adoree Jackson. So first and goal after the PI. And there it's easy. Juju Smith-Schuster. Touchdown. USC.